Hi everyone, and welcome to Paper Pumpkin Week here on Creative Chelsey. Thanks for joining me today as I share more beautiful card ideas you can make with the February 2025 Paper Pumpkin Kit called Hello Spring. Here's a quick peek at the original cards from the kit. If you would like to watch me unbox the kit and create these cards or see any of my other alternative card ideas, you can click on the playlist and I'll link it up here in the top right corner. Today I'll be sharing with you my second set of alternative card ideas. These two cards use the same size pieces to create different backgrounds. I would love to know which one is your favorite. This one, we'll call this one card A. It's got more of a monochromatic look and we're stacking the pattern pieces on top of each other. Or card B, which takes those two pieces and staggers them in the center. So we get just a hint of that background pattern. And then we also add a pop of pink. If you are new to my channel and would like to continue to see all of my paper pumpkin alternatives, make sure to subscribe using the link in the bottom right corner. I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. If you're interested in getting your own paper pumpkin subscription, please use the link in the description below to subscribe. My subscribers receive an exclusive card kit designed by me with everything they need to make 2 more beautiful cards with the stamp set and ink spot from that month's kit. We gather together once a month on Zoom to make the card and have fun together. I would love to have you join me. Make sure to subscribe to Paper Pumpkin and list me as your demonstrator or use the link below. So the two pieces that we're using for the background, we've got this crumb cake one with a little bit of a foil pattern on the front. And then we have the front piece from our envelope. And we cut that apart in yesterday's video where I shared my first set of alternative cards. Let's go ahead and begin by cutting the card base at 4 inches. And then you're just going to save that other piece for another alternative. And then let's go ahead and rotate this piece to 5 1/4 inches and just trim off that 1/4 of an inch. And then grab the envelope piece and let's also cut that to 5 1/4 inches. And then rotate to 4 inches. So these two pieces are exactly the same size. I'm going to stack the green one on top of the card base. I want to line that up and cut at 2 3/4. And what that's going to do is give me 2 pieces that are the same size. And then those top pieces are just going to be a little bit smaller. You can see here that it's just a little smaller. Okay, so that bottom piece is cut to 2 3/4, and then we have a piece here that's about 2 1/2 inches. So we're going to begin with card A, where we take the two pieces and we just stack them on top of each other with something in between to kind of soften that edge. So I'm using a card base of basic beige cardstock, which coordinates really nicely with this pattern here. And I'm going to take the smaller card base piece. So that larger one, I'm going to save for my other card. So take the small one. This is the 2 1/2 inch size. That's going to go on my card base. And then the envelope piece, this is the 2 1/2 inch. We're going to place that up off to the side because we're not using that. And we're going to use the larger 2 3/4 inch on our card. I also have a scrap piece of crumb cake cardstock. It doesn't matter how tall it is just is 4 inches wide. And I'm going to just take it and do a little tearing technique along one edge. And then I'm going to attach that to the bottom of my basic beige piece from the kit. And I just want a little of that showing. And that's going to soften the transition between the two pattern pieces. And so now I can add these to my card base. I'm going to start with the bottom piece first, which is the 2 3/4 inch envelope piece. And just make sure that pattern is going the right way since it is a directional pattern. And then I'll add the card base piece on top, and you'll see that we have a little bit of overhang because of that crumb cake. Without that crumb cake, the two pieces would just sit directly on top of one another. To create that transition, you could also use ribbon or twine. It's just nice to have a third element there. And so it's going to look something like this. So this card comes together very quickly. From the kit, you're going to need your scrap leftover piece from all the die cuts. You'll also need the label with the basil. And I wanted to add a little more pizzazz to the card. And so I noticed that the die cut and the label, they're about the same size. And so it fits really nicely over. And so by adding a dimensional, we get to have that popped up feeling. Now, if you don't want to include this, you can always just add it with the label, just like that. And that's a beautiful card as well. So let's go ahead and add dimensionals to these pieces. And you can place this wherever you like. If you want it in the center, I'm placing mine just a little off to the left and up a little higher. So it's going to look something like this. And then pop on the basil die cut right over it. It should cover up the printed image pretty well. So it's going to look something like that. I love the depth that adds to it. For the greeting, I just wanted something really simple. And I even think that maybe it looks good without a greeting. So if you need just a blank card for your stash, I love it without the greeting. But if you do want to add, then you can stamp the very small circle that says "for you." And that's where my scrap paper comes in. I'm going to stamp it in crumb cake ink, just right here in a little larger area where I've got some extra scraps. And then if you have a 3/4 of an inch circle punch, this is the perfect size for this little greeting. Okay, if you don't, you could fussy cut it, but I just thought, oh, look how nicely that cuts out. This is a retired punch. I'll see if they have anything online, and I'll link it below if I find something on the Stampin' Up website. Then I'm going to add a dimensional right up here in this kind of opening in the basil, and then add my greeting right over that. Super cute. And then I thought it needed just a little bit of embellishments. And I really wanted to kind of keep with the natural tones of the card. And so I pulled in a new pack, and this is only available right now to demonstrators. It's an online exclusive, and it will become available, I think, March 1st. So that's on Saturday. So it is the neutral matte dots, and I love that it includes some crumb cake dots. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these on. I'm going to use my paper snips to help me. You can add them wherever you want. I'm just going to put a large one on the left and two smaller ones on the right, kind of near the greeting, and my card is all done. Let's go ahead and move to card number 2. So for this card, I wanted to do the stamping first, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. I'll show you. But we're going to do some second generation stamping again. This time it's just a little bit different because I wanted to pop up 2 of my dark colors. So I've got my scrap paper again. What I love about using the scrap paper instead of just basic white is that the color of the paper matches. If you pull in basic white, sometimes it's a little bit of a different white. And so if that bothers you, then just keep your scraps for the stamping and adding of those little elements. So I'm using Petunia Pop, and I'm going to stamp in my scrap paper some flowers. And then I immediately go and I'm just going to add some second generation stamping as well. So I'm thinking that I'll add my first generation stamping, the one I did here, right here, and I'm going to pop that up. And so I'm going to add some other second generation images just around it. I love how doing this technique gives you a lighter color and more depth to the image. And then I do have one more second generation, but I don't actually use the third first generation image, but we can always save it for another project. So this is where I placed those second generation images. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut out 2 of the 3 with the coordinating die. So this coordinating die comes from the Spring is in the Air dies, which comes with 5 dies. I'll show you these 3, and then 2 that coordinate with this month's kit. And then the other 2, we've got the heart for January's, and then the bee and the honeycomb for March. And so all 3 months coordinate with that one die set. So that's really fun. Okay, I'm going to cut these out and I'll be right back. All right, so I just cut out those 2 and then I'm going to pop them up, but I don't want it to be like a full dimensional pop-up. So I'm going to make my own glue dot here with my tear and tape. And you just put a little tear and tape on your finger, remove the paper backing, and then you roll up the tear and tape to create a thicker piece of tear and tape. And then you can pop it onto where you want it. And I'm just going to place it one right there. You can see how it makes a very small little pop-up, which is perfect for this because I didn't want it to be too big. So then I'm going to repeat. And add that right here. Okay, so there is my little chives piece, and then I'm going to stamp my greeting, and I'm going to do To a Wonderful Friend in the same Petunia Pop ink on my little pink label from the kit. And just stamp that right in the center. Just like that. And we'll put some linen thread in there in a minute. Okay, so the reason why we did our stamping first instead of adding everything to our card is because I like to make sure that it's visually in the center. And if I just added these 2 pieces to the card base, I could guess where it is, but I kind of want to make sure that everything fits nicely. So I'm going to begin by adding up here in my top right corner some adhesive so that I can connect these 2 pieces together. And you can connect them with however much showing as you want. You can go big or small. I'm going to do, let's do about 1/4 of an inch at the top. And then maybe about 1/2 inch on the sides. And so you can mix that up too. You can have them be exactly the same border, but you can see here that it's a little skinnier at the top and a little wider on the bottom or on this side. And then we're going to add our chives to the card with some dimensionals. And I also added one to the right side of the greeting. And here I'm going to go ahead and just kind of eyeball where I want to place my chives. So something like that, with a little bit of space at the bottom. I realized my dimensionals are off of the top, but that's okay. And then we're going to add a little bit of tear and tape for our faux bow. You could do a regular bow and then just kind of tuck it in. The nice thing about doing a faux bow is you don't get a knot, and so it doesn't make the paper lumpy or too lumpy. Sometimes it's a little bit. All right, so I'm going to put it right about here and remove my paper backing. I don't want the whole tear and tape down. I have 12 inches of linen thread, and I'm going to place it so that it is at an angle going from the top right corner down to the bottom left corner. And you just create a loop and adhere it, and then another loop. This is a little too curly for me, so I'm just going to smooth it out. Like that. And then I'll take the rest of that linen, or the tear and tape. I'll show you. I've got a little bit of tear and tape here. I'm just going to fold it over so that it holds that linen thread in place, and it's something for me to adhere my greeting to. I am covering up the words chives at the bottom. You can choose to leave it or not. You can see right there. So I'm just going to barely cover that up and put that on my card. Let's open this up a little bit more. Very cute card. So then we can take our card base, and I decided to use crumb cake for this. I liked how it was still in that neutral family, but it was just a little darker than that basic beige. And then I can kind of eyeball and get it right in the center. So here I'm going to add a little adhesive to the back, and then place it, kind of hover it above my card base, make sure I get it where I want it, and then stick it down. Just like that. And your card's all done. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching me create these two beautiful cards today. I would love to know which one is your favorite. Please leave a comment below. If you're interested in getting your own Paper Pumpkin subscription, please use the link in the description box below to subscribe. If you would like to see written instructions or close-up images on how I created these cards, you can visit my blog, creativechelsey.com. Thanks so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.